on your Wave XLR, how far up do
Yeah.
you have your gain? Right.
Yeah, I can't even show you guys.
No, that's all right.
Yeah. Oh, yes, I can. What am I saying? Got a blood clot camera. Here
There
it
you go.
is.
It's like halfway.
Cut it in half.
Not even. Cut that in half?
Cut that in half. That's just
Oh,
gain.
shit. Broke my leg, man. I ain't got no break in my leg. The best stuff ever.
Can we go one podcast without some kind of technical difficulty from you, dude? Last week it's the microphone. This week we get like zoomed tech god. Jesus.
Bro, it's not technical difficulties. It's hardware.
Now we got short tech god. Peeking over the top of your camera like, hey, Tim.
Hey, guys.
Y'all ready?
Mm-hmm.
For this time?
You're the bro.
All right, here we go.
I think we're good. Let's do this.
Welcome to the Marvel Snapcast, episode 70. I'm your host, the one and only STG. Here with my co-hosts, of course, the one and only
Top 5 best snappers in the world. Sino. Because I snap that hot fire and I rep that power on all day. Yeah. Let's go.
and of course with our other co-host, the one and only.
Hey, how y'all doing? ItsGuestGaming here. Just saying hi. I don't have to say my name 5 times. Just saying.
It's more fun when you do, though.
I know. But it just sounds weird when I do it, you know. It's a tongue twister, if anything. It's just gaming. It's like I'm having a no.
Yeah, it doesn't ring. It doesn't quite go the same. Yeah, I agree.
It's just a whole lot of no when I do it. So
yeah,
but
it's all good. You keep that. That's fine. You can have it.
We had a great intro this time, you guys.
Yes, it was very smooth.
It could be better. It could be better.
We're getting there. Yay!
Right. But you guys definitely see the past 20 minutes of what we're doing. So
I feel like STG could deliver his name right, like how his intro goes. SuperTechGod, like get that real, like the bass in your voice, bro. Like
it's God. Remember, it's God. SuperTechGod. It's God. It's not God. Not God. You know, it's God.
Step it up, bro.
Listen, ASMR happens later in the show.
I'm sure it does.
We kick off with the intro. Nonetheless, guys, welcome, man. This is episode 70. We are going strong, of course, with ItsGuestGaming on the team, myself and Sino. We always have a blast. You guys are enjoying the content, so we appreciate you guys always enjoying the content. But let's get into this wonderful week because we have a lot to talk about. We might be here all night. You guys are going to have a good time and a good listen. We start off with the first thing, of course, and that is the patch notes. So this is something that happens rarely, I guess, in Snap, where we get patches and we get OTAs in the same breath. So let's kick things off, of course, with the patches. So patch notes are mostly pertaining to fixes in the game. Sometimes we do get some card changes, but in most cases, that's what the patches are focused on. So we have a new mode coming. That's what happens. And of course, fixes to certain things, whether it be locations, cards, etc. So, of course, we got alliances that came through in this patch, which is pretty awesome, pretty fun. I know we have our own alliances, so if you guys will be a part of it, definitely check out our socials. And we also have the PWROn one that we're all a part of and having a blast in. Then, of course, we have some gameplay changes, but the biggest thing here we want to talk about is the balance updates. All right, so starting with the balance, the first thing we have here is Uatu. Now, Uatu, I said jokingly back in the past, it needed to be nerfed. I really meant it. They did nerf him, but now it looks like they brought him back and made him even better than ever because now at the start of the game, he shows you all the on-reveal locations. So, guys, how do you guys feel about that change when it comes to Uatu? We'll start with you first, guess. Good answer. Good answer.
I mean, yay for Airship. Sometimes. That's literally all I have to say about that. It's just, it is what it is. Good for you, Uatu. I hope you enjoy your second location.
Yes, now you guys can play your dog Watu as much as you like.
Chewatu. It's Chewatu. Choose things.
Put respect on Chewatu's name, there, buddy.
See how you feel about it.
Cool. It's
I
cool.
love.
It's so
Listen,
good.
it's a lot to talk
Like,
about. I love the answers. I love the answers, guys. Thank you for the answers. On to the next one. Shadow
Really,
King.
really bring the substance.
no, I
That's
mean
all.
it honestly like that's all we okay, cool.
Shadow King.
Like awesome.
On the next card.
Yeah.
Shadow King right now. So no text change, but nonetheless, settings no longer considered raising or lowering power. So what happened here with Shadow King is basically Luke Cage's ability was to make sure your card cannot lose power. And I think in that sense, it was probably the base power it was referring to. Now, back in the day with Shadow King, you can basically play Angela, etc. cards that get buffed, put Luke Cage on your side, play Shadow King, and those cards will never go back down to their base. With this change, Luke Cage does not matter. Shadow King will always bring those cards back to their base power. I think this is a big change. I think it's something that it needed in the game to kind of keep the game nice and balanced. So hence why it's a balance update. So, I'm all for the Shadow King change. How do you guys feel about it? Guess how you feel?
I feel good about it. I think it's a like you said, it's a needed change for Shadow King in particular. But one of the things I do want to point out specifically in regards to it is that Glenn has come forward talking about that there will probably also be a text change in the future because for some reason people are still struggling with this card because it specifically says the word set all cards here to their base power. And when you say set, that throws people off versus something like Valkyrie, where it is set cards to 3 power. It's program a certain number into the equation. So then how can it be cleansing? I would not be surprised based on Glenn's comments in the team answers that this will be changed to reset all cards because the nomenclature people are going absolutely crazy in regards to that, saying, but wait, it makes no sense. How does it work with that? It's reset. Just cleanse off everything that you layered on top of it, except for the ongoings. That's essentially what you're doing with Shadow King, and it is definitely needed, especially because if Luke Cage gets out of hand, which sometimes it does, it's nice to have this piece on top of it where you can still mess around with the cards in particular.
I like it. Sino, your take?
I like it. I think it keeps Luke Cage people honest. You know what I mean? I think it makes Shadow King very relevant. It was very underplayed because of Luke Cage. Nobody really wanted to mess with Shadow King. I think now that he can still take it down to base power, I think now he's relevant again. I can't wait to be toxic. Let's go.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. I think I'm happy for that change for sure. And yeah, that's interesting. I did see something about people saying set, and I get it. They want everything to stay consistent across the board, so they don't understand that set for Valkyrie means one thing and set for Shadow King means another. But end of the day, Shadow King, I mean, the base of it is, like you said, reset back to base power. Next on the list, we have a very exciting card, a very exciting archetype, one of my favorites, which is discard. Moon Knight now, instead of just discarding a random card from each person's hand, now we remove that RNG and now it's going to discard an even cost card from each player's hand. This is huge because you can have cards like Wolverine or cards like Swarm or cards like APOC. And these are all even cost cards. And now Moon Knight will target that. Now on your opponent's side, they can have cards like Hela, right? They can have cards that they need to play that you can now discard with Moon Knight. And that is a huge, huge change. I think it's great for the archetype. I'm happy because Moon Knight was rarely being played when we have other cards that target specific types of cards, whether it be Lady Sif, whether it be Blade, whether it be, etc. So I'm happy for this change. Thumbs up. Great job, guys. I love the balance change. Guess how's your take on Moon Knight?
Oh man, does this make a difference for this card? This makes such a huge difference because MODOK and all of the major 3-cost discarders are safe now. They are not gonna get hit. I was so excited for this change, and spoiler alert for the change to Apocalypse that was up and coming, that I decided today I was going to play.
Apocalypse? No, I'm just
Yeah, the spoiler alert. Oh my god. I was like, I want to find a Moon Knight deck. So I really started looking at exactly that. The even cards, you're thinking about, the Wolverine and the Swarm and Apocalypse and Proxima Midnight, for example, who's currently in Spotlight. So it makes total sense. And
Yep.
I started building around that mindset, and I ended up with a discard deck that ended up doing a 64% win rate over 50 games, 64 cubes, and Moon Knight makes it so incredibly smooth to play. It was just such a joy to not have to worry about my MODOK getting discarded, or if it was going to hit my other 3-cost card, well, at least I'm playing the other 3-cost card, so it's not the end of the world if it got tossed. Like, it was such a smooth experience. If it wasn't getting used, I should say, not get tossed, but like, it was such a smooth game experience now knowing that those cards are safe, and swarms in particular. Let it be known that even zeros will get discarded and 8s will also get discarded. So it will discard your opponent's death if it's still at 8 at
Right.
that time. And it could also discard your wasp or chimichangas or gins if you end up in that location as well. Like, all of those also still can get targeted too. This is such a archetype changing card that people will start to discover. I highly recommend trying it. I was hesitant and hopeful, and I had it validated. I climbed over 12,000 ranks with my Moon Knight deck in just a few hours because it was so smooth. Loved it.
That is amazing. And before we get Sino's take on it, I want to quickly touch on something that you mentioned as well. I had a discussion in my chat day before yesterday or yesterday when we were building a Moon Knight deck. And I was like, it's weird because like my family was taught in the British way, and 0 is not an even number. It's like, because it's not.
I was just about to ask
Yeah.
that question. Is 0 an even number now? Like, I did not know that.
So my family, because they were, taught on the British way, it was like, it's an integer, it's not an even number, it's not even considered even or odd. So we had to we were trying to test that out. And I was like, yep, Moon Knight did hit the 0 swarm, guys. So 0 is an even number in Moon Knight's eyes. So I'm glad you talked about that. But
yeah, you said wasp and chimichanga. I was like, how? It's a 0. Like,
but I see
it counts it in the pattern. That's what it's looking for. It's not odd.
Right.
Okay.
So not
okay. Odd. Okay. That makes sense. I get it.
Even though he doesn't say not odd, he says even number. So he's counting 0 as even. But nonetheless, what you didn't mention, I don't know if you have it in your card list, but you know what the sleeper card is in that card list? Stature.
No, I did not run a Black Bolt Stature combination or Stature
in there.
Black Bolt. I know you don't. I know you don't because you have Moon Knight in there. But I guarantee you will not predict the 1-cost card that I have in this deck.
I will, if I predict, I'm going to predict it right because I do read your messages. So,
okay. Well, then our viewers definitely don't see Hydra Bob coming. I know that for a fact. Hydra Bob and Eliath are in this deck, and oh my god, it was so good, so good. I have it up on. I'll probably do a video on it too tomorrow because like it was just such a good deck.
Awesome. All right, Sino, so what's your take on Moon Knight, my friend?
I think you guys explained it brilliantly. Really good to hit your Wolverines, your Wasps, your Apox. Definitely want to hit those. It's dangerous in Hela. Although if you're running big cards that are like 6s in there, like you might, and Hela's not in your hand, it's great to hit those too. Really just another weapon in there. It's dangerous because you could hit Hela. So just like every other goddamn discard you run, you take that risk. I think it's good for also taking out your opponent's side. I think destroying a Wong or whatever even cost that they're using to run out their combo, I think that's pretty good. I can definitely see some shenanigans going on with Moon Knight. I like the change. I think it definitely brings more relevance to Moon Knight. I knew he was getting more popular as of late, but beforehand, I didn't see much Moon Knight being played. And now that this change comes in, I love the popularity of Moon Knight coming in now. I love, and like Guest said, the spoiler alert, now that Apoc's back to, spoiler, he's back. So like, I love it even more now that Apoc's back. So yeah.
Can we also touch on the fact that his new VFX is
is phenomenal.
It's insane. That's insane. It's so good. Yeah,
It's
it's so
such
good.
a nice
so
touch.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
It comes this close to the Infinite. So he's like
This
that.
guy.
So
The next card, of course, on the list is Blink. Now, Blink, of course, was on reveal. Swap the last card you played with a higher cost card from your deck. Now, it's swap the last card you played with a card that costs more from your deck. So that wording definitely makes it a bit different than what it was previously, because now it's looking for a card that costs more, factoring in things like Pixie, Mr. Negative, anything that changes the costs in your deck. Now, before it didn't take that into consideration, it focused more on the base cost. Now, if any of those things happen, it's going to look for a higher cost card in your deck. So this now, Blink isn't bad, isn't good, but you can definitely do some shenanigans with Pixie now and other cards, like I said, Negative. So I'm okay with this change. It's all right. It's not bad. I think it needed to happen because Blink was kind of becoming Blink was becoming a better Jubilee in the card list, a better Ion Lad in the card list. So I think this needed to happen to kind of balance out Blink. So I do like this change. Guess, how do you feel about it?
I think it's a change that needs to be explored a little bit more, specifically with Blink, because one of the things that I do like about it is with the programming of how they did it. The other thing that they also notated very specifically is that when Blink is played, it's looking at the base cost of the card that's on the field and then the modified cost of the card that's in the deck. So if you play down, like you said, the Jubilee, perfect example, it pulls something else out of the deck, woohoo. But you end up, let's say you whiff. Okay. You could actually end up whiffing twice in a Pixie scenario because you could swap that Jubilee for something that's now a 5 or a 6 cost. But what if it's Iceman? Because you've had a Pixie situation, which is now 6 cost. So on one end, it's this double-edged sword of if you build a Pixie deck with Blink now, you have to think about one step further of, okay, this has now been removed and modified. The problem is you can't see the modified costs on the board. And this is a huge problem because Blink does not show when you put a modified costed card back onto the board. If you click into it into the game, it just shows the base cost. And if this is going to be how these kinds of cards are going to work, we need to ask the dev team to please consider let us see the progression of changes like we do with power so we can understand this went to this and went to this, because it's not always there. It's there in your hand, but it's not always there on the board. And that, with this scenario in particular, to know what it swapped it for, let's say it's a random 6 cost card. Okay, I don't know that. Is it a 5 cost card or is it a 6 cost card? What's left in my deck? Do I make the draw call? Am I doing another pull, etc.? That's all going to be important to know, and I hope that the devs consider that, because it will bring down the playability of the card until they do that.
That makes sense. No, I totally agree with that. Sino, how you feel about it?
I didn't have strong feelings about this. Honestly, I didn't honestly think too deep in how this really affects anything. So I didn't give it much thought. But damn, you guys broke the shit down out of that. I was just sitting here in amazement. I was like, okay. I felt like people who were watching. I was like, oh, I didn't think that deep into this shit. I'll be honest with you. I was just like, okay, they changed it, and I moved on. Like I didn't know y'all had like a science to this shit. Like I was sitting here and amazed. I'm gonna just leave this one to y'all.
All right, listen, I love it. I get it. Listen, that's being guests do for sure. We definitely dive deep into certain things, so I totally get it.
We overthink. We just overthink. That's all.
Yeah, oh my gosh, that we do. All these other cards here below just had some wonderful text change where either uppercase the C's, etc. As you guys can see here, just show the lower cost cards. There was an uppercase C. Now they put the lowercase with the S.
Well, hold on. Don't shortchange the shit. That's actually important because of exactly what we talked about. Because capital C is for a 3 cost card like Gladiator, Silver Surfer, Brood, all that stuff, versus a card that costs 3.
Costs less.
Right. Which could be death at certain points. That can be modified, or an inverted, a negative to blue Marvel. That's a card that costs 3. So these are things that you have to think about with these cards as they're doing the discards or as they're doing their targetings or whatever it may be. But before you scroll too far down, you kind of scrolled past something in these patch notes that I did want to get your opinions on, because I have very strong opinions on this, because I think it is the worst part of this entire patch. And I was surprised you skipped right past it and didn't open with it. And that's the login. Login.
Where do you see the login at? At the
go
very
up
top.
At the very top. Now you do not get 50 credits a day.
Yes, you do not.
Now you get 75 credits a day, but only if you claim the 25 credits every 8 hours. I am so against this in every possible way, shape, or form. This is a step in the wrong direction for this game, which is meant to be a casual interaction. This is so not worth. I know why they're doing it, and I know why it's not 2. And I'll explain that before the viewerships go, well, they could have just met in the middle and do it every 12 hours. No, because then you just log in at, half hour before your reset, play the game, and then you get it before and after. You can't do the 2. So you can't do that. You have to do 3 times if you're going to do this process. The problem is you fuck up everybody's schedules in doing so, and now you're super penalizing people that shouldn't be penalized versus only rewarding those that are already being extra active. It should have been the latter, not the former.
Agreed. But there's a but there. There's a but there.
Of course.
How much did we get? How much did we get before this change of 75 a day?
50. I did say that.
I want you to, just reiterate it to the team. So I want to make sure everybody understands. So before the change of 75, we all got 50 per day. That means when you signed in, you had 24 hours to make sure at refresh, you sign in, get your 50 credits.
Right.
What we've done now is say every 8 hours, you get 25. So that means you could potentially get 75 credits in a day versus the 50. Now, given guess what he just mentioned, which he's right. I'm not saying he's wrong, but they're not really penalizing anyone, I feel, because we only got 50 anyway. So what's happening now is, like for me, for example, unless I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm missing that extra 25. So I'm still getting my 50 per day anyway. But if I do end up waking up early and remembering to sign in, I get my bonus 25 credits. And that's why it doesn't bother me much, because I'm looking at what we used to get versus what we get now. And I think everyone who's listening, because of the changes, you're still at least getting your 50 credits. Now, if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong in the comments, but I think that extra 25 is a bonus.
Hang on, I got to run to the comments.
Run to the comments. I'm just being real. I'm being real because I think.
Okay, but let's look at Sino. And Sino, I'm going to call you out intentionally. Okay, Sino's not as active in this game as you and I. We are very active in this game. We are extremely, whether it's creating content, running PWROn, we are all about this game. Sino is, for lack of a better term, more of the casual gamer in regards to Marvel Snap out of the 3 of us. How do you perceive this change?
And it's funny that you broke it down like that, because out of this conversation, I felt like you two were the best to accurately go back and forth with this, and I would make my judgment based on what you two said. And I'm gonna agree with Guest on this one. I don't think we should be penalized, bro. I honestly don't. I think that 25 should still be there waiting for us. I don't think it like he said, it's a fuck up on schedule. And I honestly, I joke about it, but guess you're out of the running. SuperTechGod, 15 months and running, second dinner employee of the month. Let's go! Because that statement right there was so anti the people I've ever fucking heard in my life. I can't believe you even fucking said that. I was literally sitting here like this, like, is he really taking that take? Come on, bro. I'm a man of the people, all right? You can't penalize people like that. So some people got to wake up in the middle of the morning just to get fucking 25 credits. Like,
I'll wait to get that.
They can afford to give that to people. We should automatically be getting that 75 credits. So yes, I agree with Guest Gaming on this one. I don't like the whole penalized thing. That's whack to me.
So I don't think we're getting penalized because, like I said, we were getting 50 to begin with. I'm just saying we were getting 50 to begin with. So I'm gonna ask you a question. Did you even know this change happened?
Huh?
Exactly. That's my point. That's my point.
No, but now that GuestGaming brought it to my attention, regardless whether I knew about it or not, we're discussing it now. And I feel like it's cheating the people. Why not just give us all the 75? Why do we have to go? Why not just have the whole 24 hours to claim? If you don't claim it in the 24 hours, I'm good with it. Like, yeah, hey, you had your shot to go get it.
And I'm not arguing with you guys.
That's on you.
I said you guys
for
are
an 8-hour span. Like, what if I'm knocked the fuck out and I can't go get my my 25?
You're a step ahead of me, but continue. Yeah.
Yeah, what if my time zone is different? I don't know. I don't know. What if I just missed it? Like, I don't know.
You still get your base 50 you were getting since the game.
I don't want my base 50. I could have had my 75, right? Okay. Like, bro, you are so anti the people. It's not even funny, bro. We're going to take your people's pass away.
Hold on. Let's be real right now.
Hold on.
I'm on board for that 75 being there from the jump. I'm on board for making it 75 every 24 hours, like they used to make it 50 every 24 hours. I just think this initiative is to get people to go into the game more often than none. Because, of course, every 8 hours now, you're going to want to go ahead and turn the game on and get your free credits. What's in the shop right above your free credits? All the cool things that change every 8 hours as well, whether it be a new avatar, whether it be a new way to upgrade a card, whether it be something that came into the shop. So I think it's more of an incentive and initiative for Second Dinner to see if they can get more people to come into the game more often by giving an additional 25. Because they didn't have to give us that at 25. They could have kept it 50 and said, hey, we'll break it up 25 every 12 hours. You still get your 50, but this time, we put you guys in the game more often. But giving an additional 25, I think that's just their initiative to see if we can get more people to get into it. I assume and I hope that after this test that they run or initiative that they run, they see, okay, let's go ahead and make it every 12 hours. Everybody gets the 75.
You brought up a very specific point, though, of something that does not happen, and I want to touch on it, which is the shop itself. So the shop resets every 24 hours in regards to your variants. Your cosmetic shop resets every 8 hours. Your daily gold pass resets every 24 hours, and now your credits reset every 8 hours. So first off, pick a calendar and stick to it is just the way I feel about it. Make it daily or make it every 8 hours for everything. That's part one to that. Part two, there's two things that they could do to make this initiative more in line with what they want to happen. Number one, they could have the variant shop reset every 8 hours. And they've come out and said that the reason that they don't do it is because it actually makes it harder for when they do shop takeovers, when they have featured artists or featured styles or whatever. It makes it a lot harder to be able to feature it if it's a takeover, but it changes and it's gone in 8 hours and you're in a bad region. Well, then you're kind of SOL. That's a part of the issue, number one, which I can respect. And I can get that. I still think that there are ways around it potentially, but that's a technical challenge that's beyond my scope of knowledge.
Make the takeover just a separate space. Why even, you know what I mean? But
potential, again, it's beyond there's probably other complications that we just aren't aware of and that we can't confront, but we got to give that to them saying that's part of the reason why they don't do the variant shop resetting every 8 hours. The other thing on top of it, outside of just reminding Tech how wrong he is if they're going to give us this incentive of every 8 hours, and it's going to be only the cosmetic shop and only claiming 25 credits, there need to be something else in the game then, activity-wise, besides your missions that will reset every 8 hours, to giving you that extra push to want to log in. And I don't know what qualifies in there, and maybe our viewers have and our listeners have a better idea. But there needs to be more to get us to log in twice a day, because Sino, without doxing yourself, I'm going to ask you this question. Which age demographic do you fit into? Like, which age? Give me a 10-year, without revealing your age publicly, give me a 10-year gap of where you somewhere fall in the middle of.
From 30 to 40?
From 30, from about 25 to 40, I would say, for around. But you said 10, so I'll go from the 30 to 40. Yeah, I range in that. I can mess with from anywhere from that.
Do you have kids?
Yes.
Cool. Okay.
2.
So So how many hours of sleep did you get last night?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, both of my kids were with their grandmother, so a ton of them.
Okay.
But on the regular, when they're home, very limited. I'll get about maybe 6 hours, maybe
Okay.
6 hours a night.
Okay. And you said you got more sleep last night, finally.
Yeah, finally. Yeah. Hell
Okay.
yeah.
So because you had life changes.
Yeah.
Like that, I look at that scenario and I say, okay, I'm in the same boat. Sometimes I'll get 4 hours of sleep. Sometimes I'll get 10 hours of sleep. I wasn't getting penalized.
Right.
No matter what my sleep schedule was. And
Right.
I don't use my phone typically in the first hour of my day. And I try not to use my phone right before bed for at least an hour. So I feel like I'm getting penalized because I'm not devoting more the second I go to sleep. Wait, hang on, let me get my credits. Okay, and then I wake up. Oh shit, my credits are almost gone. Like that pushes that agenda to me, that FOMO in a negative way, without enough incentive. And
it's like a form of anxiety almost.
Right. And people do miss out on that. And I've played in games, and let me be very clear. I've played in a lot more predatory situations where the FOMO is much more real. But there is, leading into that, there is one thing that they could do, which would be a huge win if they implemented it right away because it has long-term positive ramifications, and that's allow the credits to stack. Because if you don't log in for a long period of time, let's say you leave the game for 3 weeks, you just gained 1,400 credits while you were gone, and then you come back in the game and you get upgrades right away. You can move up the track. Right? It's such an exciting experience.
Yeah, that's
give
a present.
you that.
Yeah, that's a present. Hey, hell yeah, let's go.
Especially if you could backdate that and be a way to get returning players to come back. It's like gifting free credits. I mean, if they started it right away for anybody who decides to take a break from the game and come back, it's such a nice thing and a good way to give you a positive experience back into the game in your first time reopening it. Letting it stack.
Because you're going to have a hard enough time being that you haven't played the game in that amount of time. So
exactly.
Have something that bring you up like that while you're about to go through a shit ton of frustration.
Yeah.
Like that would be pretty cool,
I think that would be a huge win to be able to do that. I think right now, I knew this is a longer topic than wanted to be projected, but I did think it was important to talk about because we are hearing both sides of this conversation. We have my side, we have tech side, / second dinner side / play of the month side. But but legitimately, it is an actual conversation to be had, and I'm curious how other people feel about it as well, because I know a lot of the people I've talked to have expressed both sides of the story also, which is why I thought it was a great topic to talk about today with us.
I think it's more of a you guys problem, right? Feeling the way that you feel in regards to. No, I'm saying in regards to saying I need to get these credits before bed or when I wake up. I mean, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, okay, cool. But if I don't get that extra 25 credits, I'm not really upset. So I'm not really looking to get it. But if I do wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, because in most cases I am up at 3 o'clock in the morning, going to the bathroom or whatever the case is, baby girl, I can't sleep. So I will log in. I go, oh, let me get my credits. And there it is, right? But it's crazy you mentioned it because I agree with you.
That's not healthy. That's not healthy. It's 3 in the morning and you're thinking about Snap.
And honestly, you don't need it. So that's why you're not worried about it. Like, say a new player or somebody out there may need these credits, bro. Like, they don't have credits like you. You might be wailing all you want. They're not wailing.
Let me say my thing. That's my point. If I do get that 3 o'clock in the morning one because I went to the bathroom and I picked up my phone, the one that comes after that, I don't care. I don't get it. So I'm still getting 50 credits a day. And I think that's what goes back to me. And that's my problem. That's probably on me. The 75, I don't
I'm
really
just saying, when you're in the middle of the night, when someone's going to the bathroom, who the fuck is grabbing their phone and saying, I gotta open up Snap? I'm just saying, I'm like, I gotta take this piss real quick and then head back to the bed. What are you doing? Why are you opening Snap on the way to the bathroom?
I'm not opening Snap.
Or in the morning, and he's like, oh shit, I'm at the chimichanga table too. Wait, hold on. Gotta get my bubs.
Listen, I'm looking at notifications, right? Because between Sino and everybody else that messaged me and I didn't read it, I read it at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, oh, and I respond to these guys at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm looking at emails.
Yes, he does.
Exactly. So that's the problem. But my whole point of it saying is the 75, the extra 25 is not that. I don't care about the extra 25, and that's probably me. The 50 is what I need and what I want because that's what I'm used to. If for some reason I wake up and I'm able to get that extra 25, then great. But it does suck. I do prefer it to be stacked because you're right. For example, I'm busy today. Work, pick up my niece, hang out. You heard the conversation with me, my niece and my daughter sitting there talking.
Really.
I didn't touch Snap all day. So I missed out on 50 credits. You feel what I'm saying? And that's a problem. So I'm not saying you guys are wrong. I just said, I just feel we're not missing out.
Yeah.
You're wrong. Exactly.
Okay, so on to the next topic, ladies and gentlemen.
Go for it.
Sorry, we had a big rant there, of course. Next on the list, of course, is today's awesome, wonderful OTA changes. So we want to dive into that because when OTAs happen, if you guys don't know what that means, it's called over the air. So I first was encountered with OTAs when it came to updates to cellular carriers and other things that in the tech field that we used to work on, where we can do updates without having people having to download a certain thing, right? So instead of downloading anything, we can push updates over the air, hence the word OTA. For those who don't know what OTA stands for, you just say it because you heard it. Now you know you can say it with confidence over the air. Now, first card we want to talk about. Card has been a long time coming, but it took an Erisham and a bunch of other cards to get Loki to finally be touched in the right way. Pause. Loki was a 4/5 on reveal. Transform your hand into cards from your opponent's deck, starting deck, and give them all -1 costs. Now, what he does, he's a 3/5. So he came down in cost.
I can't. I quit.
He replaces your deck.
I quit the show. I quit.
What's the problem?
I quit.
I couldn't
quit the
say
show.
What's the problem? What is this?
You didn't think we were going to let that slide?
I said pause. What's the problem?
First off, you didn't pause. You just did pause. That's like saying LOL out loud. Okay, that's a problem.
Yeah,
Secondly, never use that phrasing for touching Loki ever again.
Yeah, can you just change it? Yeah, can you say something else?
I mean,
bro?
I edit the show and I clip out a lot of random crap sometimes, but I'm debating about needing to cut that just for like a profanity filter because I'm sorry. It's not okay. It's okay. It's not.
But
okay.
when the devs say touch, nobody loses an arm. Nobody gets all upset. When tech says touch is a problem, fine. Loki
because
got
he follows it with pause.
Loki got tweaked. Loki is now a 3/5 on reveal. Replace your deck with your opponent's starting deck, giving them all -1 cost, and you draw a card. When I first read this, I said, okay, that sounds fun. I think that sounds even better than what he was before. Mm-hmm. But then when I read more into it, I realized, okay, having a conversation with Loopy last night, Loopy is in the creator program, so, we could definitely talk about it. He explained that this no longer works in Loki's favor. The fact that now you don't have a whole hand to go ahead and dump on a certain turn or to see what your opponent's playing. Now it's a deck. And if you didn't get the cards you put in your deck to utilize, Loki go ahead and wipe that entire deck with your opponent's starting deck, and that starting deck could be trashed towards what you're trying to do. So it kind of did make the card worse in what it normally used to do. But I think going forward, Loki is definitely now a tech card. I think he is 100% a tech card, as guests mentioned as well in that conversation. And I totally agree. When you said that, I said, wow, you make sense. We're going to play Loki on turn 5 now. Hey, let's see what happens. We get 2 cards on 6. It could be lower cost. It can help us out. We'll go from there. We already have our setup for the first 4 turns. So why not go ahead and take a look and see what we get on the next 2? Guess, how do you feel about this change? Finally, a tweak to Loki.
Yeah, I think that it's going to be a card that people just have to get their head out of the sand on, because it is a completely new card now. This is not, your grandma's Loki. which might be the title of this episode, not your grandma's Loki.
I like that,
because it is now you've got to build a whole nother style of deck with this. But there are, because in my head, and this is what we were talking a little bit last night, say you run, Loki in a junk deck and you draw your Sentry Annihilus in hand early on. Okay, go ahead and play Loki. And now you get nothing but cheaper cards for the last 3 turns while you play Sentry Annihilus already from your hand on 4 and 5. And now you've got cheap cards reduced in your hand for turn 6 that your opponent, had in their deck. So there's those kinds of like smaller combos that have high potential to work well for you with Loki. So that's a new style of deck that I think we have to experiment with. It's almost like I was making a deck with it, and it's kind of feeding into mill a bit now, because you're actually not only taking your opponent's cards, you're actually playing your opponent's cards. You're trying to play your opponent's entire deck is what you can now do. But the one thing that I think is the most disturbing that I heard today, I don't remember who was the person that I heard it from first, but it is sad and scary simultaneously, because how often do you go up against an Arishem player that has that magical luck of getting Quinjet on 1, right?
Pretty often. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Cool. How does Loki on 2 sound?
Horrible. But you only get 12 cards now versus the 24.
Yeah. And all of them are reduced. And all of them also get Quinjet reduced.
Quinjet? Yep. That's a double reduction.
And then all of them synergize with each other that you draw. And you could just let your hand kind of slowly occur. And then by the time every card's getting 2 reductions that you finally draw, and then just turn 6 go all over the place.
Yeah. That's the one. That is the one lucky chance. The one lucky chance for this new.
I said that to him earlier too.
That's scary.
I said, bro, like you still can cheat this card out. You can still get these cards dealt to you. It's like and if you're lucky enough to play maybe Magic or something, you get an extra turn. So that's an extra card you're drawing out at a reduction that all synergize together. Like Guest said, it's still. But the cost reduction, in my opinion, is still the problem in my eyes. But to work with Quinjet, it's OP. It's cracked. I don't like it. That's a problem. That's the part that's the problem right here. And they keep ignoring it or trying to find ways to like move around it. Yeah, we'll still keep it, but we'll change this, and you'll be happy about that. I'm just not sure how happy we're going to be about it once somebody cracks Loki. Once somebody figures out a card list that really pushes Loki and dominates the meta, we're all going to be pretty miserable. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I get that. Like I said, if somebody cracks it, I get it. But I think that one beautiful scenario is just like, getting Ravonna and negative on 2 and 3, and then having Iron Man in your deck with Mystique and everything else, and then having Lady Thor in your hand as well. Like, it's a one good, perfect scenario that might not happen every time. It could happen, but it might not happen. So that's possible, yes.
It's still something that you play, though. You still play Loki in Arishem for that particular interaction to try to get it to happen. I think that there's something to be said about Moon Girl scenario type strategies as well. I think there are certain things with that, but this does feed one thing that isn't going to be talked about too much unless if we talk about it, which is that this actually helps Darkhawk. And Darkhawk's already an incredibly strong card right now because of Arishem being most places. This reinforces Darkhawk even further because, yes, Arishem decks can get reduced in size now because of that, but even still, Darkhawk's an incredibly tall card. And this helps Cassandra Nova in a lot of scenarios as well, because it helps the non-Arishem Loki decks tremendously, because it's not just a card for card. It's whatever's left in your deck is tossed away and you put 12 cards in it. So the original 12 cards from your opponent. So you're not going to get Thanos' stones from your opponent or Arishem's duplicates, or I should say added cards. You won't get any of those, but whatever the original 12 were, now reduced once, maybe twice. I think that this is a card we need to experiment with a lot as a community, because I do believe it is a tech card. I think it's a great, like you said, get out of jail free, have 2 cards for the final turn that are reduced on down that your opponent has. You're trying to steal that, null from your opponent, in a way. This is that type of card now, and I think it's going to open people's eyes to what Loki could potentially do. Loki could potentially do a lot of damage in his current state.
Right.
We just need some time to figure out what that state is.
Exactly. I agree.
Yeah. And I think cards like Agent 13 and Snow Guard gets no love now.
Right.
That's my take on that. On to the next card that was causing problems in an Erisham deck. We have the one and only Leech. Leech has been tweaked, let's say tweaked now, multiple times because Leech used to come out and hit all on reveals and just get rid of their techs. It was being played mostly in lockjaw decks. It got it cheated out early. Then, of course, we've seen it with Erisham. And now Leech has become a 4/4. On reveal, remove the text only from the 6 cost cards in your opponent's hand. So that's pretty good. I think that's pretty awesome. It definitely did bring the card down a notch. But for those who want to still be toxic, this really helps out when people are playing that, get that Hela in their hand or that Red Hulk or etc. So I'm happy for the change, especially in the Erisham deck. Now you get this card out on 3, but either way, I think the card is dead now. What is your take on it? Yeah, and for sure. Sino, do you have a
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I'm sorry. I apologize. Hold on, let me bring that down. You can still hear it?
Now you're good for now. Guess, how do you feel about the Leech?
I think Leech needs to go into a trash can and just stay completely out of the picture for as long as frickin' possible, because he is just he is bad. He is just a bad card to have to deal with in any way, shape, or form. And even in his new iteration where he only removes the text from 6 cost cards, as much as this helps your favorite Infinite, it is honestly, this is an over nerf. This is too weak of a card for that ability. And I think someday we start seeing a 4/6 Leech with this ability come to light, but not anytime soon.
Okay. Does it take into consideration the changes in the cost, like the negatives and the
great question, Tech. So let's dive into this as a class, shall we? The text on this ability specifically says text from 6-cost with a capital C. That iteration means cards that are 6 cost, right? So that is your Infinite, that is your, Spectrum, Arnim Zola. You get the pattern here. It is not a pixied weird ass combination, whatever. It's not a negatived, Arnim Zola. It's not a 2 reduced death. It is base original cost. Great question though, because that is going to come up from our community a lot.
No cheating. Damn.
Nope.
No, and it just makes sense. So like guest brought up, if it says number dash costs with a capital C, they talking base. If it says costs 6 or higher, they're talking about what the card actually changed into, pixie, negative, etc. That's where that lower cost C comes from, which I totally get. Sino, how do you feel about Leech? And
when I think of this, I think of that sound effect on Fist Tower. Do you guys remember the sound effect? Boom! Like that's exactly what I think they did to this. They totally shotgunned the shit out of Leech. Even though you guys are accurate, and it could kill the ending combo of a lot of people's card lists. Like let's say Odin. Let's say, like you were saying, Red Hulk. Like you were saying, if they're playing High Evo Hulk, something like that. Something that just puts the stamp. Maybe Eliath is in their hand, and that Leech gets their Eliath. You know what I mean? No more. Even if they have Prio, they don't have that advantage. They have the power advantage, but they don't have the effect. So in that sense, I like Leech, and if that's how you want to run him, maybe in a lockjaw card list where he just pops out bang, and then you can transfer him in something more higher cost, higher powered. That may work out for you. but he is definitely less dangerous than he was before. Not mad at it at all because Arisham Leech was getting very fucking annoying. So I'm definitely in support of this change.
All right. I mean, listen, I'm with you guys. I totally agree. On to the next card we have here. One of the cards I dislike a lot, and it's Dr. Octopus. Doc Ock was a 5/10 Honorville pull. 4 cards from your opponent's hand to their side of this location. Now, in most cases, they pull the Shang-Chi by Doc Ock, or they pull all the big cards and then they play their Shang-Chi by your big cards. Now, he's a 4/8, so he's not shangable. Honorville, pull the lowest power card from your opponent's hand to their side of this location. So now it's only pulling 1 card, and that is the lowest card. I think this is a great nerf because I don't like the card, but for those who love Doc Ock, I'm sorry. No more lane control. No more any of that madness that you used to do. And I think this is pretty good, especially membership deck, etc. I think it's pretty good. I think it needed to happen. I'm very happy for it because mill decks alone are the most annoying archetype out there, but they have so many things. So for Doc Ock to take a hit for Erisham, I'm on board for it. Guess your take, buddy.
This will be someday a really great card. That day is just not today for the exact same reason we talked about earlier. This is Athena meta. This is a meta of a lot of people playing Cassandra Nova, a lot of people playing Sage, a lot of people playing Iron Man, a lot of people playing, Arnim Zola Destroy. I mean, there is a lot of cards right now that are these late activators of either ongoing or on reveal that provide a load of power, but only once they reveal on the board. So when they're in your hand, they're safe. This is not the meta for this type of card. This is a card that will someday see its day, and it will be absolutely fantastic. I think there are some great combinations. For example, Black Widow is now a card consideration here because it guarantees a good successful pull, because sometimes you play that Widow's Kiss down and just hoping, Widow's Bite, hoping that maybe they don't play it, for example. Well, now you guarantee that play. Or I think this is a card that could also go really well with Master Mold, because you're clogging their lane by most likely hitting a Sentinel, and then it goes back into their hand anyway. So there are some cheeky combinations that I seek down the road, because 4/8 is still great stats. And if you hit a 0, or very often it's never 0, but depending on the meta of what's going on, you should keep an eye on this card, because it's dead in its current existence, but people are not going to run this card yet, nor should they run this card yet. But wait like a month or so and then start experimenting with it again. Let the meta shift. Let the new, August cards come on out. This will be a very good card in the future. It's just not today.
Perfect. Sino, your take on Dr. Octopus.
How is he worse than Baron Zemo? I'd rather play Zemo than play this Doc Ock. I think this is terrible.
The Zemo put it on your side, Doc Ock on your side, yeah.
I just, I don't know. I don't like it. I like the 5/10. I like pulling all the cards. I liked clogging up the lane. It was fun for me. Like, I just don't like pull the lowest power card from your opponent's hand to their side of this location. It's just 1 card. It really doesn't do anything for me. It's the lowest card. Like, I don't know.
Which could be an Iron Man or a Sage or a.
That's true. It could be, or it could. Right. It most likely won't be. Who knows, right? Like, I liked it better because Doc Ock can essentially pull all those, and now you can see. Okay, I'll Shang-Chi here, and I'll Enchantress here, and it just destroys all this lane. Like, I like that. I like that part. I like clogging up the hand. I mean, this side of the board, and just being able to maneuver anywhere else. Even though when you did that, 90% of the time you were pulling Shang-Chi. Yeah, you were pulling Shang-Chi, and he was punching you right in the face. It had it was like a thing. You see it. Everybody would play Shang-Chi. Sure enough, would get fucking pulled, and your Doc Ock would get punched
every time.
But I hate this. I don't like this at all.
Now, Widow's Kiss from the wonderful White Widow is now a -3, not a -4. This has become an issue in the meta. A lot of people were just upset with the way things were going. I've seen combos with this and playing Jean Grey in another lane to ensure that you know, you can't play in that lane to fill it up. Therefore, it's going to keep that -4 power. Yeah, listen, I think this change needs to happen. Again, this is more like a balance change than anything else to me. It is a nerf, but thankfully, it is only a -3. So I'm super happy about that. Guess your take on White Widow's Kiss.
I said it in my video as well. There's no way this was going to stay the way that it was. I mean, it was just so incredibly powerful to take -4 power and throw it on there with the temperament of either being a rock or better than a goblin. You know, it could, depending on what you choose to do as the opponent. It was just inevitable that was going to get eventually brought down to a -3 power, and it's still good. It's still a very good card. It just doesn't feel as bad now getting that Widow's Kiss on your side, because now, like, it's when you get Goblin, for example, you feel Green Goblin, you feel like, okay, I can overtake that and I can deal with that for those three, for that -3 power, it'll be fine. But if it's the other end of it, you're kind of like, I don't know, like, -4, man, I really got to fill that lane now. Like, it doesn't, there's a whole psychological aspect, and 2-6 is very different than 2-5. It doesn't necessarily feel that way when you get to the higher costs, but for a 2-cost card, it definitely has a major impact. But it was inevitable someday that it was going to need to happen.
So, how you feel about it?
I kind of like it. I liked being the one that was doing the White Widowing, but then I didn't like being the one being White Widowed. Like it, like honestly, like it did not feel good to have that -4 on your side of the board. Even a green, like you were saying, Green Goblin's a -3, right? So it even that, you could be like, okay, cool, I could work around that. But the -4, like, guess saying you're really like, okay, now I got to play in that lane, and I'm already missing a slot here, so I really got to make sure I win that if I'm going for that lane. And like you said, it is a psychological thing where it's fucking with you through every turn. You're like keeping it in mind. I wasn't a fan. I wasn't a fan of being Widow's Kissed, but I like the change here. I think it makes it more manageable now.
No, I totally agree. I'm happy you guys agree as well. That -4 is a lot, and making it -3 definitely helps.
Even my boy Lizard's a 2-5, and even with a condition, you know what I mean? So, like, I think the 2-6 was too much. It's too much.
So we go into the next wonderful card here that got changed, and I feel bad for it. I don't think it should have gotten nerfed, but of course it's got to take hits for Arishem, and that is Blob. Blob now, instead of being 15 power or more, it's 13 power or more. At this point, why play Blob? I don't.
But understand.
Yeah, why play Blob? That's my take. You had guess. You let me know how you feel about it.
Because you play Blob because you still get a 615 more often than not. So this is exactly what the adjustment was. Yeah. They changed him down to 613 because more often than not, as a 615, we'll just use those numbers because it's easier to articulate the point. More often than not, they were going over by 2 power. And
anyway,
on average, on any given play. So bringing that average down by 2 means that, okay, the overall average is going to therefore then go down by 2. And you can't feel bad playing 613, especially if it's more often than not going to be a 615. That's still a good stat line for what Blob is going to do. And very often he's not going out on turn 6 as the final turn anyway. He's getting cheated out. He's, getting Ravona'd. He's getting Arishem. He's getting all these other support cards around him to get some extra pieces out there so he doesn't have to be the only card on turn 6. And if he is going to eat, he's more likely to eat over that threshold anyway. So it's still a good card. I don't see it necessarily making a huge meta difference, but I think it's mainly to help control the presence of that turn 5 in Arishem in particular, which was already playing a lot of very tall cards, including a 5/10 Doc previously.
Oh yeah, that's correct. All right. That's fair. Sino, how do you feel about it?
This was definitely. I think this was definitely being hit because of Arisham. I agree. This is definitely an Arisham hit. Yeah, like I didn't think Blob was that much of a problem. I don't see much of the appeal, even though I understand the reasoning. You know what I mean? Like I just was like, they already hit Blob so hard before. I didn't see why, but now with that whole Arisham thing, even though I think, and I think you guys can agree, I think Arisham is kind of calming down in the meta right now. I haven't seen much Arisham being played right now, so I think this change might be too little, too late, in my opinion. Like, I think Blob might have just caught a stray for no reason here because Arisham has been considerably less played as of late. I think it was very hyped up and everybody loved it at first, but now that we've gotten used to it and we've played it and everybody's like, okay, we're moving on. We're just gonna move on. We don't want the randomness anymore.
And people get Cassandra Nova now. That's the other part of it
and
too.
Exactly. And the appearance of Cassandra Nova is just OP with her. And if you're playing Arisham and you get Cassandra Nova, it sucks because she's out there. So she could definitely proc up to crazy power level. So yeah, I haven't seen much Arisham, so I don't know if this was kind of necessary, honestly. But yeah, in the case of Arisham, I could see why this would be a change.
Why Blob needed to change, and I get it. And like I said, a lot of cards took the heat for Arisham. Next card on the list, of course, one of my favorites. Right? One of the cards I got to review early, and that's War Machine. Big fan of the card, still love it. Allowing you to be able to play cards anywhere in that next turn. Now War Machine goes from a 4-6 to a 4-7. So his stat line now is also a great stat line, putting him right below the 4-8 Doc Ock. But at least this gives you way more ability to play anywhere you want to, especially in conjunction with other cards. So I love this change. I think it was a great thing for War Machine. And I hope because of the power buff, more people get to experience this awesome card. Guess your take on the War Machine.
This is, how can I word this? What I'm going to call the Hercules effect. It is annoying to me because 4-7 should be the case for a lot of other cards, right?
Right.
We should see a White Queen up at 4-7 at this point. You know, they've moved Stagron to 4-7 at this point. Like, we're going to start seeing more and more cards.
They stop hating the 7 power cards. And
yeah. Yeah, they're trying to make 4-7 a thing. But the problem is 4-7 is fetch. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to be the it is fetch. It's just you can't make fetch is not a thing. Don't make it happen. 4-7 is not a thing. Don't make it happen. War Machine's problem is not 1 power. War Machine's problem is he's not ongoing.
And his costs as well.
Yeah.
I think 3 would be so much better. But
he would be so much better, but they're not going to give us that because of his tech.
Because
of his tech, he's not going to be a 3.
Him being ongoing is too perfect. That's broken.
I don't know. Honestly, I'm in favor of him being a 3 cost. Like it makes it so much better.
Ongoing, I don't think he should be. It's going to be too broken. Because then Professor X
ongoing is too broken. Yeah.
Those things don't matter anymore.
But you could just play wherever, whenever.
I would rather him be a 5-9 over a 3 cost.
A 5
as an ongoing?
No, it could be on reveal in that case. It could be on reveal.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Make him a 5-9.
Anyway. Yes, I would prefer that too.
That's why. Exactly why.
I'm playing on 5 anyway. Yeah. So yes, even more power. I'm playing him on turn 5 anyway. And I'm dropping infinite.
You are playing him on turn 5 anyway. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And if I'm not, I'm playing Hope Summers prior with Kitty or him on Hope Summers, and I could play Infinite and Ebony Mom.
Him at a 3 cost, I could play him on turn 5 and another card anyway. I mean,
of course, that's the reason why that's the reason why I said 3 costs. But you'd be a 3-7, 5-9. That'd be so good.
Oh yeah. I definitely mess with the 5. I'm gonna drop him anyway on 5.
He's a tech card in every deck now. He's in every deck.
Yeah.
So you're playing Loki, him, whatever you want after that.
Yeah. Did you know that in the history of Marvel Snap, there has only been one somewhat successful card at the 4-7 stat line? That is it. Every other card has either been changed up to 4/7 or changed out of 4/7. The only card that has ever survived is Proxima Midnight, and that's relatively new comparatively.
Yes.
Every card other than that has been changed, including Beta Swordmaster, who used to be a 4/7 way back in the day.
Yes.
Like,
good times.
Every single one has failed. It is a doomed stat line. It was doomed for Hercules. It will be doomed for Stagron. It will be doomed for War Machine, because that is not their problem. It's not 4/7. 4/7 should not be a thing. It is fetch.
Agreed. And talking about Swordmaster, I would like him to discard the leftmost card in your hand. But Sino, how do you feel about War Machine?
I already said I would love it if he was a 3 cost. I guess his idea of a 5/9 because that's what I'm playing him anyway. The 4/7, I'm just a fan of 7 power anyway. That works for me. Why not? So now I can play with a 1, and I'm good. 1 on turn 5, I can play him with a 1. Cool. Turn 6, I can play Infinite and Ebony Maw like you're always gonna do. You have access to locations that you wouldn't have access to all game, like Sanctum Sanctorum or Death's Domain, Luke's Bar, things like that. Yes, great card, love it. Let's get to the main event. Let's get to the best card here. Let's move on.
You could start it off.
Let's go. APOC's back, baby. Now I was having a convo with Tech not too long ago, and I was saying that I would prefer APOC being a 6/9. I would think a 6/9 would he wouldn't be too cracked or OP in this meta right now, being that we can approx shit to amazing levels at this point. But I'll take the 6/8 because the 6/6 fucking sucked. I hated the 6/6. That was trash. No 6/6. 6/8. Let's go. APOC's back, baby. I can't wait to play some APOC. Let's go. That's what I think.
I'm with you.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm so happy. I'm just so happy.
Yeah, we're speechless, guys. We're that happy because 6/6, like it was almost like they killed the card. Like I didn't want to play APOC anymore after that. Who the hell wanted to play a 6/6 APOC and keep having it? No, 6/8 was perfect. It did not needed to be changed. Amongst the other things that needed to be changed, and they're worried about APOC, that just told me a million things. Like it's perfect the way it is. If not, it could use a little power buff, maybe a little 6/9. That would be more fun. But yeah, I'm so happy it's back.
Let's be honest, 6/9 is always more fun. But the deck, the deck list I referred to earlier, with the discard deck that I was playing today when I did the 50 games and went up 64 cubes, that was with 6/6 APOC. That deck just got better.
Yep.
Like, are you serious? Like,
let's go.
Listen,
can't wait to use this again.
I play a Gwen Zodia list, and it's so much fun because, right, you have your Dracula, you have your combo to get the, you have Morbius. I was like Morbius, Dracula.
Yeah, there
right,
you go.
Dracula, and you have your APOC, right? You have your Gambit, your Wong, your Mystique, right? So you're trying to destroy your opponent's hand and still continue hitting that APOC, and then APOC gets hit by Dracula. Morbius gets his buff. Fun card list. Now with the 6/8, oh my gosh.
And that's the thing. See, that's how beautiful it is. Everybody had their APOC love, right? And then it when it got nerfed down, it was like, yeah, we'll still play it, and it's still cool. It's fun to do. We'll do it for like a hobby. But now it's something that you actually feel excited to play and take to wherever the hell you want to take it to. Deadpool Diner, you want to take it to Conquest, you want to take it to Ladder, whatever you want to take it. It's more exciting now. And you feel more confident in it, and the levels that you can take it is going to be crazy. And that Gwenpool, the Gwenpool discard thing is insane because you can do so many things with it. So yeah, I'm excited to get back to some APOC play.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, you don't even need Gwenpool anymore to try to buff up APOC.
It's a plus.
Now it's good to go. Now it gets extra. Now it gets 16. But the best APOC card list still was one from the past. I think we call it Scuba discard because they had old school American Chavez. It was guaranteed.
God, I miss Chavez.
Guaranteed APOC. Those, oh man, That could be a whole
God,
nother.
I miss
That was
Chavez.
that was
We need another
broken back
Chavez
then,
card.
man. Ugh.
I know, but we need another one. It was so much fun. It was that broken, but it was still not bad. It was still entertaining. You know, nobody cried about it, right?
Well,
But
people did.
I guess so. All right, now we go on to the next topic, ladies and gentlemen, and that's next month's set of cards. Now, next season, of course, we haven't got the video yet. I assume we'll get it either this weekend or on Monday because the season does change on Tuesday. But we do have some wonderful notes about said cards, and that is to kick off with, of course, the Young Avengers. Starting with, of course, you guys can see here we have some arrows. We have Acid, Basic, Grappling, etc. And these belong to the one and only the Season Pass card, which will be Hawkeye. And not just the Hawkeye you know, not that Hawkeye, no, this Hawkeye, the wonderful Kate Bishop, speaking of Chavez. And she has some amazing abilities. That one of those amazing abilities being, of course, add 2 arrows to your hand. Now, as I mentioned before, you have an Acid Arrow, which is on reveal, switch sides. You have the basic arrow, which is on reveal. If you play a card at this location next turn, give it +3 power. You have the grapple, which is get over here. After you play your next card, move it to this location. And then, of course, we have the Pim arrow, Pim particle, ongoing. If your side of this location is full, +3 power. That is all the arrows for Kate. She is a mini Thanos. I think she's going to be a fun card, especially being a 2 cost and her arrows being a 1 cost. There's so much cool things you could do with it. Guess, how do you feel about Kate Bishop?
I think this is going to be the card that breaks bounce. I think the second she comes out, bounce becomes the best deck in the game. You didn't even think about, how can you not think about bounce? It's all cheap ongoings.
Yep.
Like, sorry, on reveals and 1 ongoing, which, by the way,
And 1 ongoing,
can we just forever call it's PYM arrow is what it says on the card, but the name of the card, it's the Pim particle. I don't care how you read it. That's a pimp arrow. That'll always be a pimp arrow. That's the PYMP. That is always going to be the pimp arrow. But I digress.
The Pim arrow, yeah.
Okay, so for real though, the grapple arrow, which allows you to play your next card and then move it to this location. That's going to be huge, obviously, for move. Then on top of it, you've got the basic arrow, which I love, which is plain and simple. If you play a card at this location, it gets +3 power. So, okay, it's a Hawkeye. Got it. You're getting a Hawkeye from Kate Bishop. Makes sense. And then Acid Arrow, which is a 1-2 right now, at least. And again, this is all data mine information, subject to change, right? It's just a mini goblin. Like, it's nothing but good on this. And it's an Ant-Man, it's a Hawkeye, it's a mini goblin, and a mini and a ghost spider, essentially. Like the anti-ghost spider, I should say. Like, this is all good. This is going to be the next Nico Minoru, but probably better. And it will be the card that makes bounce the best deck in the game. And then we have to figure out what to do with it from there. And
it's a lot of cards in one. I will say it's a a lot of great combinations, a lot of things that you can do with this, regardless of what you're trying to do. Whichever arrow you're trying to do, you're getting a plus. So I like it also. I agree with you guys. I think this is definitely a must get card.
Yeah, agreed.
Now, these cards are just, I'm not going to get too deep into everything here, but these cards are cards that come out random once you play Kate.
Yeah, you get 2 of them.
These are not cards you put in your deck. Right. So you might get stuck with 2 cards out of the 4. Okay. Now you can't get all 4 unless you probably grandmaster her or something.
Nothing really wrong with that. Whatever you get is going to be good.
What I'll be curious to see is if you can get the same card. Can you get 2 of the same arrow? That's what I'll be curious to see.
Arrow, right.
That's interesting. I would assume no, right?
But it just says in the ability, it just says 2 arrows to your hand.
Yes.
You make a good
Right.
point.
So it doesn't say right.
It doesn't distinguish if it's going to be two different arrows. Yes, correct.
Right.
So I'm not going to dive too much into every other card here. We're just going to talk about it real quick and go over it. So we got the Emperor Hulkling, which is at the start of the game, copy the text of a random 6-cost card. So again, this can be a 6-cost Galactus, right? This could be a 6-cost Infinite, which you probably don't want. But nonetheless, this is a very cool card, cool concept. And it's pretty good to see at the start of the game that animation. Now, this is another card to add to the card list that I have that has an animation at the start. So, like, we have Agatha, Quicksilver, Erisham, Thanos, High Evo. We're going to add Hulkling in there and see how long we can get the.
That's crazy. That's content, I guess.
Yeah,
you're not wrong.
That's the foolishness I like to do. Yeah. So now we're gonna see what happens. Can we make an entire 12-card deck with a full animation?
Yeah. Animation gonna be there for 30 fucking minutes. It's all good.
Hey, why not? And it's cool the order it goes in. Like Agatha's I think Quicksilver's I think Quicksilver was first. Agatha. It's very weird, but I'll have the video up for you guys to see it.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, I think I think so. Nonetheless, we have Marvel Boy, which I know a lot of fans of this card who don't know about it, but those who do read the comics, they're big fans. After each turn, give 3 of your 1-cost cards plus 2 power. This is a broken card. They need to change this right now. I don't even know why they even data mined this. That needs to change ASAP. It's going to be oh my gosh. Okay, on to the next card. We have Speed. Think about speedsters. And now this speed, of course, is ongoing. Plus 1 power for each turn, which you spent all your energy. That is awesome. This is a reverse to Red Hulk. Yeah, it's going to be good, though. It's going to be great. Cracked. Especially in a lane with the wonderful Onslaught, right? It's going to be pretty good. And then last but not least, we have Wicked.
Sunspot.
Wicked is the brother. Yes, on reveal, if you spend all your energy this game, get plus 2 max energy. So pretty cool card. I think Wicked is going to be pretty good, especially with his brother Speed. And all the other cards coming out that season. The Young Avengers should be a cool set of cards. Should be a real fun season. I'm excited for it. We'll give our ratings for each card on next week's episode. So make sure you guys come back and see it after we see the video when we actually get
the Young Avengers stuff is coming out. I asked because I would like to see that. Is it because that's supposed to be that show is supposed to be coming out?
Did you watch the Hard Guys special?
Guess is like I don't fucking know. They don't tell me.
I don't know. I don't know anything.
You don't got the Disney hookup? You don't know the inside in there over at Disney, guess?
Why don't you ask the employee of the month? How about that?
You're right. You're right.
Yes, based on the Hawkeye film. Yes, I think Young Avengers is coming out. So
okay, I just want to know if it was probably coming around at that time. Yeah. Okay, cool.
I will say though,
yes,
I'm excited to see this Season to Pass announcement video because these data mine numbers that we have of Wiccan being a 4/5, that'll get the plus 2, Speed getting the plus 1 out of 3/3. Like I think most of these are going to change in some capacity because of just like the balance of it all. And Emperor Hulkling in particular is really interesting to me. Of watching a 6/11 that could do other 6-cost card things. That's exciting. That's really exciting. Like I would not be surprised to see Hulkling be brought down to 6/10 at least, maybe more. I don't know, but
it's all fun and games until you get a destroyer.
But out of the 26 6-cost cards, and yes, I know that number. Out of the 26 6-cost card, because we did this research for another video, that are out there. The negative hits that you get from it. It was Valentina. That's what it was. Out of the negative hits that you get from it. Infinite, Destroyer. Okay. You can work around literally every other one from there.
Okay. I hear you. I see your point.
Even Giganto, you can deal with that.
Yeah. I mean, it really doesn't do anything for you, right?
Nope. but I'll be
Like I said, I
curious to
can't wait to
see
see the
him
video. Like
with Hulk as like a safety precaution.
Red Hulk. Yeah. I mean, listen, it's gonna be great. Can't wait to see the video to see exactly what these cards are, because I think some of these are broken already. But nonetheless, when that video comes out, we will have our preview stats and scores on said cards. All right. But I know you guys are both excited for that season, so we'll dive into it more once that time comes. Now, on to our next awesome topic we have here. Of course, it is the EU draft tournament. Now, this was public. Was it made public already?
Yes.
Was this made public?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't see it, so I apologize. I knew about it, didn't see it. So it's public. So yes, I'm gonna let you kick this one off.
So this is a huge conversation to have. The EU, so in the European Union, Snap is hosting its first ever in-person event, and they're getting a bunch of people together, including PWROn's very own Hannah's Cat Cafe.
Go, baby.
Yeah. They're getting together for a experimental showcase, fun Snap get together, if you will. And this needs to be talked about at length in the community, maybe not today, just in the community, because they're doing something that is mind-blowing. They're doing a draft. They're doing an actual draft.
Yeah.
They have physically made cards to do an in-person Marvel Snap draft to see how it goes, how it feels. It's nothing official. It's not going to be the future game mode. It's not going to look like that. This is just let's get together a bunch of the creators and a bunch of community members for a Snap feature. And this is how it'll go. And
almost fan-made Snap, right? Like a fan-made thing.
It's almost fan-made, but it is actually made by, I won't say which specific member, but someone from the team of the two teams of Marvel Snap. And it is literally, it's going to be broadcast on the official Marvel Snap channel. It's not an official draft mode. It's not showcasing it like Conquerors does, where we were showcasing, Deadpool's Diner or anything like that, even though that should have been just renamed as Bot Diner in that showcase. Like, this is going to be a very big event. It's got great, amazing creators as casters, who I'm very excited to see as well. I'm going to let, in case if the official video content or press release comes out tomorrow after us, I don't want us to be the first one to say who's casting it, but I know who is. I know who is, and I'm very excited for them. So it should be very well received. There are very cool things happening with this, with the beginning of Alliance Wars drafting mode type thing. It's actually cool. It's really, really cool. And I think it should be exciting for the community, because this is your physical, tangible proof now publicly, outside of a little document and a really crappy IGN presentation of them saying, hey, listen, we're serious about draft mode.
Draft mode. Yep.
Draft mode, baby.
They're really in on this.
For the job.
How do you feel about actual draft mode maybe coming to the game because we have this type of event coming out?
I think draft mode is fun. Honestly, I think it brings something new to the game. I think what Deadpool's Diner proved was that we are very anxious for a new mode, in my opinion. I think, and other than the fact that it was bot mode, I think people enjoyed it very much in the beginning, just because it was something new to the table. And it wasn't like Conquest, where you have to like grind out one battle. You know what I mean? It was very quick, very one, and you can climb up. I think draft mode has been called for some time now, right? I think a lot of people have been dying for this mode, along with a spectator mode, which honestly is still what people really want and are clamoring for. So I think what happened to
what we need a spectator mode.
We need a spectator mode, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think a draft mode is definitely great. We've had the pleasure and the luck to deal with JJ Roke's draft what's the name of it? I don't want to get it wrong.
The chat
Huh?
draft.
Chat draft, yes.
Draft.
That is extremely fun. I don't know if anybody's gotten the chance to really mess with it, but it's really, really fun to do. Has different, stuff you can do with it. So it's really awesome. But that alone showed you that people are dying for this right here. So yeah, I would love a draft mode in the game.
Killing me. My take on that is, yes, I agree. I think draft is a fun thing and needs to be in the game, especially a game of Marvel Snap the way it is. It's very competitive to be able to do a draft mode and to see how great you are when you're not playing your own card list. But the big picture here with this EU tournament is to show, as guest mentioned, that draft mode was on the future item list to be implemented into the game. So with them doing this and taking the next steps of actually testing it out physically first, it's more than likely going to happen. If you guys didn't know the history, definitely do your research, check out the video. But Marvel Snap's first set of cards were on the back of business cards. And then they made little cards and they tested it out. So if that is any inkling on how, draft mode might come to be, it might just happen with them using a physical set of cards first. And then once they figure it out, put it into the game. And I think Erisham was also a big step into it, even though Erisham is not technically a draft mode. It's
Right.
kind of like it. It was a different style of draft.
Right.
And everybody loved it, right? Of course, they call for it afterwards. But if you minus the extra energy and anything else, and you have 12 random cards we all start with and we all play, I think we're all pretty happy about that. Not only does it help with great content, but it also helps with the community. And for those people who don't have cards or don't have the time to play the game to get said cards, but to play a draft mode and get the cards at random, I think is pretty cool. And we can have so much fun making tournaments and events for such an event. That would definitely put Snap on a different level, a different pedestal when it comes to eSports, etc. So that's my take on draft mode. And yeah, I think we definitely need it.
Cool.
This is where you transition.
Yeah. This is where we move on.
My turn. I ain't done yet. Hold on. We definitely rooting for Hannah. Rooting for you.
Yes, Hannah, let's go. You got this.
Not sure about the other members that are going to be there, but everybody else, good luck, have a good time, and you're representing a great community. So make sure you got community right. Now we're on to the next topic, of course, and that is what has passed. But we're going to talk about what is current, and of course, that is Deadpool's Diner and the one and only new mode, Alliances. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Finally, after 10,000 years, the mode of alliances / clans are here. And I was going to mention this earlier, and maybe I'm wrong. I was going to say this, but I don't want to dive too much into it before guest takes, my head off about it. But
what I do.
Does anything change in the alliance every 8 hours that can help coincide with the credits, or I'm wrong?
Not to my knowledge. I don't think there's anything in the actual game section that it's not like the rewards change in the bounties area, for example. Right. It doesn't refresh like that. It's a community alliance bounty area. So
okay. So before we dive into alliances, let's talk about Deadpool Diner. Came out, we spoke about it last week. Shout out to guest again for making an amazing video.
Yep.
One of the most watched videos over on YouTube on the Marvel Snap YouTube channel. Go check it out. If you haven't watched it already, watch it. I don't care when you're listening
own ItsGuestGaming. That's right.
Yeah.
I don't care when you're listening to this video, go and watch it. Could be months from now, years from now. Go watch that video. It's there. Guest broke that video down so well, so perfectly that he was able to do exactly what he mentioned in the video and get to Cassandra Nova and the variant in within 5 hours. Mm-hmm. Shout out to guests for that.
3 hours. Let's go.
Sorry.
1, 2, 3. Five. Just like 5 because of me, top 5, but it's 3. Let's
exactly.
Go.
Yeah, it's reflex.
5. So 3. I think the mode is great. I think we spoke about it a lot on the last one, so I'm not going to dive too much into it. But I think it is a great mode, and I really want to see more. But what we really want to talk about today is the alliances. Finally, it's here, aka clans. My take on the alliances, it's great. I'm happy we have it finally. I do wish we have some extra things that we could do with it. Number one being able to be a master of your own set of alliances and also be a part of other ones. I think that'd be pretty cool as members. So you be a member in somebody else's alliance, but you can also be a leader in your own. Figure out a way which set of alliances your progress works for. Maybe it works for, your progress only works where you're a member. But if you're the leader of one, your progress means nothing because it's your team that's going to be doing, your team and the members that's going to be getting progress for that clan. I wish we had that because most of us are content creators. Most of us have big communities and we want to be able to interact with our community. But the best idea we have for it was Guest's idea of having people in your community run those for you. And so far, it's been great. I have 2 that is full and everybody's having a good time. And I think this is pretty awesome. The fact that we can go ahead and have bounties that we can complete and help towards the progress of the entire alliance. It's super fun. We get rewards. We do have a chat, which I haven't used yet. Don't think we have to because we all communicate on a separate level anyway. But the chat does tell you when one person on the team wins an A-Cuber and what kind of deck it was, which is like basically.
Yeah, I like the card list that it shows. It just shows you what everybody's playing. I like that.
That's stuff, right? Because now we all go in the tournament like, I know what they're playing.
I know what you was prepping with.
I think the
counters.
Right. The alliance, the ACAI, right? The alliance chat AI is pretty intelligent on that level. And I think that's pretty cool. They also put things in place to moderate any type of crazy swearing and stuff in chat. So I think out the gate, Marvel Snap Second Dinner has done a great job with alliances. Again, outside of my personal wants of it, it's covered all the boxes and it's doing a very great job at it. Guess your take on the wonderful alliances.
I think it's a great start. I think that this is, Second Dinner sought out to have this be a social interaction, tool to increase activity, increase clickings within the game, and get some extra rewards to the community for being active in the game. 100%, that's exactly what this is doing. It's getting you extra rewards, weekly, daily, well, not daily, but like on personal level, on a alliance level, like there are several different thresholds to cross, and they're definitely on the right path to getting to some really awesome stuff here. I do think there's still some opportunities. I think the end of week rewards for the alliance as a whole are very low. It's not a very heavy incentive, in my opinion. I think they need a little bit more oomph, if you will, in the weekly alliance category in particular. Personal, maybe, we'll see. But at least in the alliance wide one, I'd like to see them buff that up a little bit. I like the different bounties that you can claim and the variety of bounties that are in there, and they're very community pool focused. Where, hey, look, listen, like I know there are alliances out there where they have a master of move, and that person takes on every single move one because that's their favorite deck to play, and 2 out of 3 will always be a move thing in their bounties, and they just quickly achieve them and then just move on. And you've got like in ours, for example, I look at our list and I go, okay, I know that Perry's a discard guy. I know he's going to take on a whole bunch of discard things because that's the number one type of deck that he likes to play. So we'll see him kind of annihilate with that. Certain decks work really well with Agatha, and White Wayne Brady is going to absolutely dominate by having those bounties just easily flesh into his different variations on his Agatha decks as he flies through them. So there's a lot of cool stuff that this is bringing. And the thing I like the most about with the whole bounty system is it's going to clearly shake up metas and statistics, because I saw it like the second it dropped, all of a sudden I'm seeing a load more Patriot decks, a load more discard decks, a load more destroy decks. Ultron in particular, I'm seeing an absolute, boatload of. Like, there is a lot of variation entering into the game, which is incredibly healthy and probably the biggest win of this entire social aspect.
Good call. Sino, how you take on the alliances, my friend?
I like everything you guys said. I have two takes. I have one. I think I like everything you guys said. I think one thing that is different though is this is a great way for the community to come together. Like if you're part of an alliance, this is a great way for you guys to almost build a bond, because it has a lot of teamwork, a lot of collaboration in it. You know what I mean? You have a chat there that you can talk with other people, and just you could see card lists. It's very helpful, and it's very smart, I think, of Second Dinner to do this, and it's building almost camaraderie throughout the community. You know what I mean? I like that aspect of it. I think it's almost like Snap is a very individual game. It's a very just you playing the game, right? Like you can battle your friends, but we're not on a team. We may talk about what card lists and here or there to play and all this stuff, but we're not really doing it together. You know what I mean? You're climbing when you're climbing, or you're on conquest when you're on conquest. I'm climbing when I'm climbing. I'm on conquest and when I'm on conquest. This is us playing together. This is us trying to achieve goals together, trying to basically, hey, you should try this card list. I was thinking of your problem. Here's this card list. Try this to achieve this, so we could get the point. You know what I mean? And we all get rewards together. We work together. We build bonds together. I like that part of this. And my second thing is, I think it's almost a way, because when we get to climbing again, I think it's a way to keep the meta fresh. I think it's a way to keep the meta diverse. It's a way to, one card list doesn't dominate so much when people are playing for goals and alliance. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna see difference. Like Guest said, you're gonna see Patriots and discard and a whole bunch of other stuff. You're not just gonna see Loki or Arisham or Eliath, or predominantly one card list that annoys the shit out of you. It's gonna make you feel very, very fresh. You're gonna be like, oh well, I saw this, and then I saw this, and then I saw this, but I know my card list is pretty good at beating this, and I got to get this goal, so I'm gonna run this card list. I think it makes the game fresh and fun, and I like that. So I like those two aspects of Alliance.
I totally agree. I think that's super awesome. And on top of everything else, like I said, they're going in a great direction. So can't wait to see the other changes that come to the game. I know people want to see a bigger cap, but I think the way it is right now, we get the other changes, we should be totally fine. All right. So Deadpool Diner and Alliance have made an impact on Snap. I think the state of Snap right now is a bit better than it was last month. Playing the consistent grind of ladder or conquest to get the Infinity Border was all we had, and battling each other, right? Now, with Deadpool Diner and Alliances, we have more in the game, and I think that's all Snap needs is more ways to enjoy the game. And I think the state of Snap right now, like I said, is in a better place, and I can't wait to see what other things come to Snap. Now, on our last topic, it's a question that I think we need to ask because everybody else asks. Is Snap in a place to finally be considered competitive? I'm going to take a stab at this question because I want to say I think it is. And the way I feel that way is because if the cards we spoke about earlier, the cards we've been talking about for the past couple months, most cards in Marvel Snap that was RNG base is no longer RNG base. It looks like Snap Second Dinner is taking away most, if not all, of the RNG-ness in these cards. Like I mentioned earlier, Blade discards the right side now. He used to discard any card in your hand, right? Lady Sif always discarded the highest cost card, so that's fine. But Moon Knight now only discards even cost cards. Things like that has happened. Now, Stegron used to hit your card any way he wanted. Just smack it. Card goes where Stegron felt. RNG base. Now, Stegron always hits it to the right. These are the things I'm talking about. There's a lot of cards that have made changes where the RNG factor in regards to what the card does is out of it. Yes, it's still random when it comes to certain things because you don't know which is the highest cost card. But you do know, right? So if your hand only has a high cost card, Sif is going to hit it. If your hand only has an even card, Moon Knight's going to hit it. If a card only has a card on the right, Blade's going to hit it. So the RNG stuff is getting taken out. You can build a deck around those types of things. And I think that should help show that Snap can be very competitive to the point where it's considered in esports. And I think that's the question I want to ask you guys in chat, you guys down below in the comments, and you guys listening in your cars and on the gym, wherever you are right now. How do you feel? Do you think Snap can finally be in a place where it's competitive? Now, that's just the cards. I do know there are locations that are RNG based that kind of also causes issues. But outside of the locations, you can build a deck now that you can safely say it's not RNG based. It's going to do exactly what I want it to do because I put the cards in place to follow what the texts read on the card. That was my question to you guys. You let me know how you feel. Guess your take. Do you feel Snap can finally be in a place where it's considered to be truly?
I'm going second. Sino?
I wanted to go next anyway because I wasn't sure if you agreed or disagreed. I disagree. I don't think it's in a place where it can be competitive. I think it's designed to be casual. So I feel like it's that's just the nature of the game. It's a very casual, on the go, really quick game that you can play. I love the new modes, but I don't necessarily think that that's defining the fact of competition. I think it's just really cool things you could still do individually. I don't feel like it can be competitive because of the RNG in the game, the locations, and sometimes it's just I just don't rock with how the location draws and the location batching. Now I know that that's not a thing that exists, right? Yeah, but it really does exist. And if you get the shitty draw of the locations, one that may tend to run to your opponent's advantage, I don't see how that's fairly enough for us to compete. You know what I mean? I don't see where how we can honestly compete if that really tailors to you and what you're doing over me and what I'm doing. I think that's just an unfair advantage. So the locations and to me are what draw it away from being really a competitive, even scaled, me and you box it out, best cardless for cardless type thing. So that's just my opinion. I wanted to go next anyway because I knew I was going to be really short. So guess go kill it.
Sino, my friend, as I've gotten to know you over the last couple of months, you say a lot of really intelligent things. And sometimes you also say a lot of really dumb things. This is one of those moments that you've said one of those really intelligent things. I am with you 100%, and I'll explain why. Marvel Snap is about playing cards into locations. There are two factors to making the game happen. One of them is within your control. One of them is not. Locations are not within your control in any way, shape, or form. And the challenge is being able to build a deck that, whether you decide to put RNG in it yourself or not, is up to you. But otherwise, you can build a bounce deck that will do exactly what you want it to do, how and when you want to do it, more often than not. You can build a discard deck that you can guarantee hella by turn 6 every single time. You can make those things happen. But the hurdles of the locations is the biggest challenge in Marvel Snap. And until the game has an ability to create an environment for you to bring your deck into a controlled set of locations, you cannot have competitive Marvel Snap. It is too important from an RNG standpoint. And I use this in conjunction with thinking about any fight game, any brawler. There are restrictions. There are abilities and things and locations and items and things that you can and cannot do. There are rules set into place. Marvel Snap is too frivolous in that aspect to permit competition existing in its current format. But if you wanted to create an environment that permitted that, it has to also be something that gives variation to that permittance. What I mean by that is, think of, and I use this example all the time. You think of Super Smash Brothers, right? No matter who you are listening to this podcast, you played some version of a Super Smash Brothers at some point in your life. And you all know there's that big screen that you can choose from of which items you want to take on, which items are banned, and you and your friends definitely all know, hey, I hate the hammer, or I hate the baseball bat, or the bumpers suck, or whatever. And you decide, do you want to play no items and straight up brawl? Do you want to play with only light items, some items? What's the frequency, etc.? That's
we only play with specials, so yeah,
exactly. Special, right? No specials or with specials, exactly. Like these are things that you have to consider in Marvel Snap when it comes to locations, because we have seen it happen in our community ran versions of Marvel Snap, where money could be on the line, and all of a sudden, after 9 rounds, it's a Weird World match, or it's an ego match, even worse. Or as an example, those are District X. It's,
like
to give some hardcore examples, where in a competitive scene, it's very different than on Ranked Ladder or in Conquest, where this is the expectation. But you cannot build competition without a certain amount of controlled variance. Right now, there is variance, but there is no controlled variance when it comes to locations. Right. And I think that has to be implemented first, because while I agree with you, Ken, that a lot of the cards in Marvel Snap have been restricted in their RNG-ness, if you will. Like StagRon, for example, you know exactly where it's going every time now. That kind of example, that's more consistent than it ever has been in the game before.
Correct.
But for competition, you should decide when you want your RNG to actually matter, when you choose to YOLO, not when the game randomly decides to YOLO for you in a situation that you have no choice but to YOLO. And that is risk versus RNG. And that's why it isn't ready to be competitive yet. But we're close. We're close, man.
But I hear you. I hear you.
He's right. He was only wrong about one thing, and that was that Sino says dumb things, because Sino never says that. I'm always saying intelligent stuff. I don't know what Guest is saying, though, but that was the only thing he was wrong about, in my opinion.
I just feel even competitive games have RNG, right? Mm-hmm. There's no game that doesn't have RNG. I think competitive games have RNG, and your statement is kind of right in the sense of what you're saying, because yes, Smash Brothers, you want to turn off certain things, but it's still RNG in the game, depending on what happens, what hits you, if the button when you press it does what it's supposed to do versus an opposite thing. And so it's a lot of
to the point RNG. Of determining the outcome like Snap does. I just think Snap's RNG kind of determines the outcome a little bit more than anything else.
Yeah, but
I'll add in one extra caveat to help drive the point home specifically. It's not about RNG, it's about agency. It's about knowing that if you have a competitive environment, that if you choose to put Helicarrier in your deck, there's a chance you've programmed that chance by choice that you could get Agatha to be one of the cards that comes into your hand. However, you did not sign up for a District X getting rid of your entire deck, or you did not sign up for Ego doing whatever the hell it wants to do at random.
Weird World switching our cards on turn 6. Like, that sucks.
Yeah, but
there are certain elements that should be restricted. Locations, excuse me. That's agency.
I hear that. But that's still, you still have the ability at that moment to hit retreat when that happens. Because the reason why I'm going to say that is because if you look at every competitive scene that we've had, whether it be driven by us or by Second Dinner, the people that win are better, 100%. Nothing can say that RNG would not let them win. When you look at the tournaments that Lambie has won, Lambie is a better player. RNG has not stopped him from winning. So
we're not discrediting. We're just saying.
No, I'm not saying. That's my point. My point is, if Snap is not competitive at this moment, then my little brother should be able to win a tournament against Lambie, and it won't happen. And I think it's because we have that ability. I'm just saying it's because we have that ability between the competitive players to say, ego comes up. My little brother might say, snap, we're playing this out. Lambie will say, retreat, we're going to the next round.
Okay.
And that's the difference, right? So I think it really all depends on the player versus the location. That's my only point about it. Because like I said, when I look at every tournament, I'm going to let you talk into it. When I look at most tournament winners, these are players that have played great regardless of what the RNG happens. If you look at the Juneteenth, right? PWROn and Gaming with Flash were the best players in that whole tournament, to the point where they played each other twice. And RNG ended that matchup. But look at the two players that played each other twice to be in the championship. And that's my whole point to that. So go ahead, guess.
To that exact point, what was the RNG that decided that final game?
Oh, no. Actually, the card. It was the wonderful Scarlet Witch.
Thank you. So it was a choice of them deciding to put RNG into their deck. They could have put Rhino. They could have put Storm.
Correct.
They could have put They could have put Magic. They could have put any other location. Well, not Magic, but they could have put another location-changing card, right? That was their choice of RNG versus random RNG. Because if Gaming with Flash goes into a tournament with Lambie and it's a nail biter. It's a nail biter. They're back and forth, 8, 9 rounds. They're both down to their final 2 cubes. It's high stakes. First location reveals ego.
You know what? You're right. Forget ego. First location revealed TVA.
TVA or something like that. That's happened to me plenty of times.
But this is my point. Competitive Marvel Snap has to have those parameters because there's money on the line. That's the difference. Competitive is friendly only when there's no money on the line. Competitive is competitive when there are sponsors involved. And the second you get that's why you have to have those parameters in place, because there's safeguards from those moments happening, which just become controversial and actually put a detriment to your brand.
No, you're right. I agree. When the money on the line, you should be able to have tickers and knobs to turn off and turn off. I agree.
That's it.
But let's not lie. Those last moments, those RNG shits are phenomenal. I think it makes
they make for really great content and really great endings and really great meme stuff. As far as competition and
competitive,
that is not what you want.
You're so smart today, Sino. You're so smart today.
Every day. I'm smart every day.
Yes, right. That's correct.
That's the point. That's the point.
I'm thinking a fix for this, right? Almost like, why not make, say, an arena mode, right? Where the locations are just generic locations. Let's say that just you could put like Battleground in the middle of them and they do nothing. There's no RNG based in these locations at all. It's literally you bring your card. Yeah, it's ruins or exactly. You bring your card list, I'll bring my card list, and let's go. I think that's a way to make things that's a competitive aspect. And it's almost as if whatever I'm doing is with my card list to you, not RNG based.
But it's not Marvel Snap. I think you should have the
now you said something dumb because I disagree with that.
Yeah.
Okay. You have to have some challenge from the you have to have some challenge from the locations, but
maybe there's a way to tweak it. But I'm just saying maybe there's a way to make things more fair enough to where we can have a competitive my card list versus your card list type of thing.
Very simple.
I'm not saying that works, but I'm just saying maybe there's something that we can tweak here to make it.
It's very simple. You can get it really granular where you go turn off ego if it's round X and higher, right?
Yeah.
Turn off TVA.
It's
high stakes. High stakes removes certain locations.
Remove these locations. Yes.
Exactly.
Only have Subterranean show up 2% of the time, right? Like things like that. Get it real granular so you can say, we still got Marvel Snap, but we're going to turn some of these knobs so that.
Yeah, I would just like to be able to use my card list to battle you. Us to go cardless for cardless more than, say, something determining the game through location.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, one of the wonderful members of WSF, I say wonderful because I don't think they're wonderful at all, has been the champion for such a long period of time. And I think they are afraid to be competitive and take that chance with RNG and actually battle and defend their title. Yes, I'm talking about the one and only the monster Default Dan. Now, the top 5 champion I know is a phenomenal champion. He is a Snap Run champion. He is a 24/7 champion. And that is a competitive champion.
Damn right. Default Dan. I am the true champion of WSF. I've been there every pay-per-view. I don't just be there one time in 6 months and talk crap and try to jump people with my buddies that we disbanded, by the way. You know, your boy was there. Shout out to Smooth Out, but I had to take him out for my boy STG. And I don't appreciate people giving this Default Dan guy like, oh, he's the head guy. He has the championship. No, I got the championship. I'm the one here representing WSF. Me. All right. Now I've been on my little vacation for a little bit, but I'm still the one. I'm the people's champ. I'm still the one people are proud of. Default Dan, man. What's special about a default? Can y'all tell me?
Nothing, because the way I look at
it's default. There's nothing special about a default.
Listen, he got his belt by cheating at SnapCon, which is going to be a year coming up of the famous screw job, Tampa screw job, when I did not get to fight for my title.
That's right. They screwed my boy STG out of his title and then screwed him multiple times out of his title shot. I don't like that.
End of the day, I wasn't even invited to the biggest WSF event of Snapmania of them all. I was left out to do nothing. So nonetheless, not about me. It's about that top 5 24/7 champion.
That's right. Don't you worry, bro, because I'm holding you down. That's right.
That's what I'm talking about.
I'm holding you down out here. Dan, nobody knows who Dan is in WSF, all right? When you say champion, they say top 5, all right? Who? Top 5? That's who they say. They don't know Dan.
That's fair. So nonetheless, guess, Sino, this is a great episode. W spoke about a lot of things. And for those who are going to leave in the comments, Tech looks sleepy. I'm not sleepy. All right. When I'm thinking, my eyes are very low.
Oh, and buddy. Your eyes are a different color right now.
Seriously, I like to hear when my co-hosts are speaking because I want to really dive into what they're saying. And as you guys see, we like to talk back and forth with each other. There's no issues here. We just like to be in that state of mind when it comes to the game that we love to play, and we play nonstop. So I like to get focused and listen to both of my co-hosts. And what? I'm giving you guys a compliment. What the hell's the problem?
Are 5 senses that difficult for you to manage all at once? You got to shut your eyes to hear me better?
My eyes are not closed. My eyes are like this. It looks closed, but it's not. It's just
You're one of those people that when you're looking for something when you're driving, you turn down the music too, aren't you?
I am. For some reason, I can listen with my eyes. Yes.
Oh my God, bro.
If you could listen with your eyes, they'd be open while we're talking. Nice try. Game over. That's the end of the podcast. Y'all have a wonderful week. I'm saying goodnight on that note because my microphone is officially, if you're on video, dropping.
No bullshit. We were all yawning at one point. We were like,
bro, I'm good, but I'm not sleepy. I'm just yawning because
you look so bad as her voice of this episode, bro. He could. I wanted to text him so bad. Stay the fuck still, bro.
Let me tell you something. No, yeah.
And then you're like putting your hand like this in the mic and covering your face. I'm like, in the camera. I'm like, bro, stay the fuck still. Put your hand down. Yeah, like, what are you doing?
This chair is bad, bro. Because like last night, I stood up. I had the stand-up desk, and I'm streaming all night till 2:30 in the morning. Sit in this chair. Oh
my God, bro! You're podcasting from the standing up position from now on.
I should though. That shit was funny.
Oh my God, bro.